Hey guys, I'm Jayce. Welcome back to Farmstead Forge. So I've been waiting to do this vise until I had a little time to do a good video on it because it's got some big problems and some problems that other people have trouble with. So the first thing you need to do if you have a vise with jaws like this is you need to really look it over and assess where it's messed up at. This one is very black and white because it's got such a big gap in the jaws. So my first spot is right above where my hinge point, my plates are welded on, and you can see that it is tipped this way. It just looks like this side maybe isn't twisted, it's just bent over. So that's the first thing I'm going to tackle, and you can see that that makes sense because this jaw is off right through here. I'm guessing what somebody did is they put something great big in here, trying to straighten it, probably had a 12-foot long cheater bar and they bent it that way and it just bent it over and twisted it. So the next place that I'm having problems, let me look at it so I can remember, yes, is this side right above the hinge plate. And it might even be bent over just a touch too. But it has been twisted, and that's where my jaw is off. And that would make sense, just the opposite way that leverage just twisted it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the vise, and we're going to heat it up, and we're going to get this as straight as we possibly can. I'm leaving most of this all together just so I can tell how far I'm straightening it. And then we'll work on this side. And then when I get all done, I'll show you a way to size it up so it stays and it's nice and true. Actually got that pretty good just on one. Now I gotta fix my jaw a little bit. Alright, so just that, I'm back to where I should be. So I'm not going to do anything with this now. Just going to let it air cool for as long as it takes. And we might pull our hinge bolt out and see if there's any wear, but it shouldn't be wore if it's sitting taller. I'm guessing it's been tweaked up and out a little bit. That'd take a lot of reef, and I had to use my great big twist wrench I made in one of my other videos. This also is missing a thrust washer, which can be somewhat of a issue too, but we're gonna forge that in the next video. Alright, so now that this is air cooled, I got this, it's nice and flush here, but I'm higher by about 1/8 of an inch. Now this is just my 2 cents worth, and somebody can comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but I just have a hunch that not all of these were perfect from day one. Some of them I've rebuilt. I've had jaws that were tipped, and both jaws were tipped, so you know that they just were forged that way. They were mass produced quick and cranked out. What makes me wonder about this, sometimes you can have a wore out bolt at your hinge plate, but this vise shows no indication of hard use. Abuse, yes, but no just wear and tear. It's extremely tight. So my lower jaw, the thickest point of it, is right at 1 inch. My higher one the thickest point is a little over 1 1/8, and I'm 1/8 inch off. So that just makes me wonder if that's not part of it. Now I could heat this up right through the middle, and I've done that with some that are off, and you put a block in there, you take your spring out and crank it down, and it will tip it down. The only problem is generally you get a gap in here, and it'll be flush at the top, but you'll have a gap here. And that makes me wonder too, with some of the ones I've seen that touch fine up here and are flush, but they have a gap, did somebody try to adjust it like this? But we're going to take it apart. I'm going to take this bolt out and just see what it looks like. I'm going to wire wheel all of it. I'm probably not going to show all of that because everybody's seen that kind of thing. And we'll put it back together and just kind of reassess. I have a tiny little gap up here at the top, or on this side, and I will fix that at the very end here depending on what we do. So let's pull this one apart. This is a vise I rebuilt in one of my videos, and it is the one that if you take it apart, see, yeah, so this corner just drops way down on both of them, and this corner's higher. Once you take it apart and set them side by side, you can really see that they're way off. And it closes fine, flush on top. So just makes me wonder if things were never quite right from the factory. Good thing to do with these is mark your bolt, because some of these I've seen the bolt is specially made to fit a cross-punched hole, and it's the only way it goes in there. And there is like nowhere on that bolt. A little bit out here where it went through, but it's just about like the day it was made. Same way with the hole. It's a very nice drilled hole. So I just can't imagine, as thick as this is, that would have been tweaked enough to make those jaws not line up on top. I'm guessing this hole, or this hole, was 1/8 of an inch off when they punched it. I don't know that, it's just what I wonder. It's just about the tightest one I've ever taken apart. Alright, so another thing I want to show you guys, just to kind of add to my point that these were never perfect. After it's all cleaned up, the bolt on the hinge point is punched super crooked. The bolt's fine, the holes are tight, but it's super crooked. If I put a square on here, look at how far that thing is off. So that can add, you know, a drop in there too that makes things not quite right. And I've also never rebuilt one. These have like a washer kind of on the back of this style to help take up the slop, I think. So it's a possibility, I guess. Maybe it never had a thrust washer, but I'm pretty sure it did. Because this taper really likes to bind in the front. So next video I'm going to go ahead and forge a thrust washer for it. Somebody can correct me if they think that never had one. Also, that makes me think the one jaw has been higher than the other one for a while is it is a lot more dinged up. It's been mellowed over, so there's some pretty good burrs on here. And this one's not even, it's got a couple chips out of it, but it's pretty flush. So this one's all mellowed over. So before I do my final size, I'm going to file these, just the burrs lightly, so they have a nice flush fit. flush. So I got them almost to match. I have the tiniest, they're just the tiniest bit off. And I probably could do one more heat session there and get them perfect, but I'm not that picky. It's gonna do its job just fine. I had to bow that out just a little bit through here, but it brought that jaw down. By heating that up and putting that metal down, it tipped that jaw down almost flush. So you just leave it snugged up until you can touch everything. I'm pretty happy with that. We got a tiny little spot there that sticks out, so I'll probably have to readjust my spring just a touch, which I needed to anyway because it was already weak. And it's not much. You can see it with the eye though, how it tips out. Somebody will probably tell me I did it wrong, but that's okay. It's barely off. Actually, the corners are flush. It's just the center, so I can get the window in there. It's pretty close, so I'm not gonna complain. Just let that all air cool. In case I missed it on camera, I just stuck some channel iron in there, and then I had to add some angle iron stuff. And as I'd crank that and work that, it just tipped that jaw down. It's a really good look at the key and wedge, so wider, narrower, narrower, wider. We let it all air cool, and it matched up really nice, and actually it feels like it, probably from the heat and it going back down, it's actually almost flush now, so I'm super happy with it. I was a little bit concerned with doing one more time on it and trying to get it perfect, because then I might have gotten a gap at the bottom of the jaws. Freed up. I also put a bunch of boiled linseed oil on it just to keep it from rusting in all parts. So we're going to put it all together quick and see how she works. So I'll have to do a tiny bit of adjustment to my spring. If you want to watch that, you can watch it in my forging a spring video. Hey guys, I'm super happy with how this vise turned out. I hope it was a very helpful video to somebody who has a problem with a vise just like this. And if it was, please drop a comment and let me know if it was helpful. And it just helps me to know if I made a decent video and what to do in my next video. If you did like the video, give it a like. Hit subscribe, keep it simple, we will catch you guys in the next one.